And so this is just kind of the overall project outline that Michelle mentioned. So, these are kind of really... So if we have the quad is shown in blue and the library is shown in red. So the library and Croft Chapter House, the green color, those are ones that aren't being funded by student money. So this is money coming from other sources, which I'll show on the next slide. And the ones that are kind of pulled out of the pie chart are the ones that student money would contribute towards. So the quad, the Success Center, a little portion, the lounge in 376, and the JCR. So that's kind of giving you a scope of the costs for the rest of the revitalization project in total. And so if we look at this one now, which has the funding sources, so it's kind of hard to see the colors on this, but so if you can see that the blue color up there is from the provost, the red chunk is from the Faculty of Arts and Science, the green chunk is from University College Capital Funds, so that's not the students' money, that's from the college itself. And then we have a donor, the Clark gift, so those were donors who gave a large contribution, and they're actually, they are probably going to get some kind of recognition in the revitalization project as well because they were so generous in their donation. Then we have the UC Boundless campaign, what they raised, and UC Boundless required, so that's the amount that they still want to gain from donors and stuff like that. So they're still working on fundraising money for this project from donors. And the the teal color chunk is what they've already gained from alumni donors and stuff. Well, not just alumni donors, but donors in general. And then that last chunk there, man, the colors look so weird on this compared to the computer. The last chunk there is what the student levy would contribute. So the timeline of this, essentially if this referendum were to pass, the construction on the JCR would begin right after school ends and it would continue throughout the summer. And hopefully it would be completed it would most likely be completed by Frost Week. In the case that it isn't completed by Frost Week, we're gonna make sure that the things that need to be completed after that time we can put it on pause and then do after Frost Week. So the JCR will for sure be in operation during Frost Week, and most likely, we will, and as well for Prep Week, and most likely it'll be good to go for September for school as well. So the students that are paying towards this will get to experience it. In terms of the 376 lounge, so that's working with the 376 lounge is going to be implemented alongside the library in East and West Hall, so the library in East Hall and the reading room in West Hall, and those are going to be implemented at the same time. And the timeline for that right now is if this referendum were to pass, we would start on the design process and everything probably immediately, and then hopefully construction would start within that area as soon as school ends. And the timeline right now is hopeful for January 2017, if not spring 2017. And the Success Center is also on that similar timeline, and the quad is just beginning consultation now. So have any of you guys heard about the Landmark project? Yes? Okay, amazing. So the Landmark project, just to provide some context, is a U of T project, a U of T-wide project that focuses on the green spaces around campus. So a lot of those green spaces happen to be around UC, so that's the front campus, Sardans Quad, back campus, Hard House Circle. And so the quad would be the same architect group that's working on the Landmark project would also be working on the UC quad. And we've already started some consultation with the UC quad, and that consultation would continue if this referendum were to pass. All right, I'll pass it alongside to Gloria now.
For the JCR, there's a lot of different things that are going to happen to make it better for students. One of the main things, apart from everything that's listed here, like reupholstered couches, refinished floors, and even improved insulation, one of the main things to mention about this is that regardless of whether or not the referendum passes, the LIT is actually contributing $18,000 to get outlets put into the floors. And so if this referendum passes, what's actually going to happen is that the LIT is going to be able to be reimbursed all the $18,000 to use for student initiatives around campus. And so this is basically what's planned for the JCR, but one thing that's really important to mention as well is that there's going to be a lot of student consultations, and so students are going to have a say, or at least a bit of an input as to what's going to happen in the spaces that they're going to be using. there's also the proposal for having the lounge, the student lounge, and the cafe in UC 376. And so the UC Lit actually has the first right of refusal. And so what this means is that the UC Lit gets to decide whether or not they will be running the cafe, just like they run Diablos. And so this is going to be up to the Lit that you vote in on Thursday, whether or not they want to keep running the cafe, but the new cafe that is going to be implemented next year. And if not, that's just going to be up to UC. And then the next space is the Success Center. So the UC Writing Center will actually move to a renovated Success Center where social workers, career counselors, and many other people will be using to host different co-curricular and co-curricular support, to have co-curricular and co-curricular support. And so this space now will be used for student events, so that could be things that are non-academic. And so if students want to host workshops, for example, that could happen in that space. So that's just another area that we can use for student improvement. And the last spot is the UC Quad that Amanda just spoke about. And so apart from all these different things that are hoped to happen in the Quad, one of the great things about the Quad is that with the improvements, it can actually be used by theatrical productions. For example, the Follies could use it if they wanted. The Drama Center could use it, and it would actually make it a lot better for us to use during frosh, for example, especially with the improved drainage. Because it's just going to make it a lot easier to be in that space, especially after it rains, because during frosh we're outside for the majority of the time, and just this year it was very difficult at times and somewhat dangerous to be out there. And so with these improvements, it's just going to make that area safer and more accessible for students to use.
Thanks, Loria. So I'm just going to talk real quick about consultation that's happening. So we actually have already planned a JCR assessment meeting held on Thursday, March 17th, so St. Paddy's Day, on from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the JCR. And so this is an opportunity for students to come and say what they'd like to see in the JCR, maybe things that we haven't mentioned. Maybe some people have really good ideas for things that we didn't think about already, and we'd really love to have your input. So this meeting is contingent on the passing of the referendum, and we've asked our Chief Administrative Officer, Yvonne McNeil, who we're going to be working tightly with over the next little while to really figure out what changes are going to be made in the JCR. So she's going to be there along with Linda Scott, our Dean of Students. And so this meeting is for you guys. The JCR is something that we have control over as the Lit, and so this will be done in-house. So this is an easy consultation process that we'd really love to get your input in, because the JCR is such an important space to us, and I know it's an important space to you guys too. So it's really important to us, so keep that in mind. We'll be making a Facebook event about it Thursday, March 17th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the JCR, and this is contingent on the passing of the referendum. Additional consultation processes are in place right now. So actually we have one of our representatives here, Melissa Vincent, is actually on the project implementation committee for the, not the student aspect of the project, since that's very contingent on this referendum passing, but she is a student representative on the committee that's dealing with the library and Croft Chapter House and those areas. So there is going to be student consultation in that process. This process has to be run through a different process from the JCR, since they are spaces that aren't controlled by the Lit, and we need there's more official things that need to happen in that case. So those are going to be different committees. However, if you have specific input on that, I really urge you to either send me an email to president@uclit.ca or talk to anyone on the Lit if you have input on that, because it's very important to us that we gain a lot of student consultation in this process, because these spaces are really for the students, and we want to make sure that we get their input as much as possible.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, it's an animation. So do you want more plugs in the JCR? Or more seats? Or maybe you want it to look like the Gryffindor common room. Right? That's so much fun. So come out to the student. We are the UC Griffins. So Thursday, March 17th, come out 2 to 4 if the referendum passes. And when to vote, so this Thursday, March 10th, 2016, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., you can vote online at voting.utoronto.ca, or you can vote in person through the polling station set up outside of Fung from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., which will still be online, but it'll be in person online.
And that's it. Thank you.
Yay!
So yeah, if you have any questions, we have a bit of time now before the debate. And then after the question period, we'll be grabbing pizza. Where did it go? It's over there somewhere. Okay, so we do have pizza for you guys. So after the Q&A session, we'll grab pizza and then we'll start the core exec debate. So yeah, any questions? Felipe?
Should I come up or can I just ask from here?
You can just ask from there. Yeah.
Okay, so usually building maintenance and updating and modification is outside of the scope of the lit and UC. It's handled by university administration. Wouldn't this set a bad precedent whereby student fees are just raised arbitrarily every time building maintenance needs to take place?
That's a really good question. So the question is that wouldn't this set the precedent that student fees will be raised every single time that a building needs to be updated or maintenance or anything like that? That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it. So this referendum is really to focus on student spaces. The JCR hasn't been maintenanced in probably years and years and years. And so, and that's because the university, because it's a student space, the university isn't obligated to put money towards it the same way that they're obligated to put money towards classrooms or towards academic spaces like libraries or things like that. And don't get me wrong, the JCR is holding up just fine, and it's still a great space, and it's still full every single day. It was full today when I was in there, but it could really enhance the student experience if we added things like outlets in the floor, or we had better insulation. Wouldn't you like to not be freezing in the JCR in the middle of winter? I know I would. My fingers freeze when I'm in there. And you know, maybe this would be an incentive for students to come hang out there more, you know, if they could be warm in there and get a coffee from Diablo's and not be freezing, right? So it's just kind of updating it in ways like that. And don't get me wrong that, you know, when there's a situation like the flood that happened, and the floor needs to be replaced, we have things like insurance to cover that, and we have things like the college actually had our back for that. So they're going to be replacing the floor, and students aren't actually going to be paying for that because that's out of our control as students. But if we do want to implement these new student spaces and make them as great and amazing as they can be, then we really have to contribute a little bit as well. But overall, building maintenance and things like that, that's handled by the university itself. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, okay, so I don't really mind paying like $12 or $24 extra, but do we ever, or do you guys think maybe I'm just ignorant, do we ever get told why the university can't cover it, like why they need extra money? Is there like a budget or something that's available to us?
Okay, so yeah, that's an amazing question for those of you who didn't hear it. So why do students specifically have to contribute to this project and not the university? And if you can, yeah, thank you, Cyrus, for pulling that up. So if you can see that the university is contributing to it. Sorry, Sean, you probably can't see it from there. But there's different sources like the Provost Office, Faculty of Arts and Science, the college itself. So there is a lot of other sources of money, and there's donors coming in and stuff like that. And the fact of the matter is that we can wait, you know, we could wait, you know, maybe 20 years from now, enough donors will have, you know, raised money, and enough of, you know, the university will maybe be able to contribute on, but who knows how long that's going to take, right? These projects are expensive, unfortunately, and it's just not, you know, feasible to have this done for us right now to experience. If we wait on, you know, donations coming in and things like that. And, you know, if you've ever spoken to our Chief Administrative Officer, Yvonne, she's always voiced that her goal is to see the JCR renovated. And she's tried. She applied last year. She applied the Junior Common Room to this contest about Canadian heritage sites. And she tried to get us like $100 grand to fix up the JCR, but unfortunately we didn't win the contest. So it's, you know, it's like we're trying. We've been trying to raise money in so many different ways. And unfortunately it's just like, you know, it's a slow process, and that this would really help speed up the process so that we can really enjoy these spaces to the maximum of our ability while we are still here. But also keeping in mind that, you know, if our children come here one day, or, you know, our little siblings, like if they come here, they'll also be able to enjoy them too.
So it's just like university just can't afford it. Like,
yeah, like the university is strapped for money, and I know it doesn't seem that way when, you know, we're all paying so much money to be here, but unfortunately it's the reality of things, yeah. Any other questions? Nothing? Okay. Okay, well, I guess if that's all the questions, feel free if you want to get more information or want to kind of regurgitate this information. We do have an FAQ section. We do have an FAQ post on the UC Lit website, so www.uclit.ca. There's a section that has an FAQs about the project. If you have any other questions that you don't think of today or don't want to ask today, then you can always email them to me, president@uclit.ca. You can send the Lit a Facebook message on Facebook with your question. You can email or talk to any of the council members. There's a lot of ways, or any of the people involved in the campaign for it. Gloria and Michelle are really, really great resources for this as well. So yeah, if any questions come up, please don't hesitate to ask. We really want to make sure that everybody's informed as much as possible about this question. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, guys, and go get your pizza. Go.
I'm so glad you caught that on stream.
How,
By the way, is there a link for this?
yeah,